Okay, this is going to be some tips and tricks to playing a Red Talon in a Werewolf the Apocalypse LARP. Well, first thing you got to realize is you got to play a lupus. Therefore, it usually needs to be approved. It's one of the hardest things to play in a Werewolf LARP because you have to have a lupus mentality. Now, when you make your character, most of the time it's going to be based off of your auspice. If you're an Arun or a Galliard, you're probably going to have a lot of physical traits. You're probably going to, for a Galliard, your socials are going to be up. Philodox, probably socials. You're going to have some physicals, maybe some mentals in there. Theurge, of course, mentals with your perception. Ragabash just depends on how you're playing it. A lot of times they'll take a lot of physicals because they'll be wiry little bastards. Other times they're going to take mentals because they're going to be tricky. Sometimes socials because that's what they're going to do. I mean, Ragabash are the most versatile and also probably one of the hardest auspices to play. Okay, when you get to your abilities, you got to look at the abilities they're going to take. They're going to take stuff like hunting, tracking, primal urge, animal ken, area knowledges, survival. They're going to stick to those basic nature type abilities. Okay. Background-wise, pure breed's always essential. They might have some ancestors. They might have some totem, some spirits that owe them favors. But in the end, a lot of it comes down to literally it's just the role-playing aspects of it. I mean, their camps are just that. They're standard camps. Some of them are more martial and some of them are vicious, but they're just going to define some of the political maneuvers you're going to play. The key thing is going to be in the playing of the lupus part of it, which means you've got to have a mentality that actually supplements it. You have to be able to go in there and realize that you do not know all of the things that you've learned. I mean, the fact that you're viewing this on YouTube means you have some computer abilities. A lupus doesn't understand that. A lupus doesn't understand big words. They don't understand fancy words. You should have a confused look on your face a lot of the times, or a very disdainful look. You have to take body language into account. Lupus are big on body language. Somebody smiles at you and they bare their teeth, that's a threat, that's a challenge. You should be keeping track of how people present themselves and how they move their bodies, because that is a key. And you should take your cues based off of that. And then there's the wolf mentality. They believe in the pack. Somebody who walks outside the pack probably gets looked down. There's something wrong with them. So they're going to look at silent striders, who tend to be Andruth. They tend to run either without seps or without pack, as unnatural in their own way. Like there's something wrong with them, or that they're mentally handicapped. And they always know the hierarchy. When you have a wolf pack, they'll know who the alpha is. They'll know who the beta is. They'll know who's behind the beta. They'll know where they stand. If they know that they're number 4 in line out of 5, they'll know that, and they'll show submission to the upper 3 unless they're challenging, and they're going to treat the 5th one as a submissive. The Omega does get treated badly a lot. They're very big on parts of the litany. First share of the kill goes to the highest in station. They believe in that, and to violate that a lot of times is almost like a death sentence. You try to take something that the wolf thinks is his, he's probably going to try to kill you. They believe in the submission to higher station. If somebody has dominance over you, they're going to submit. If they have dominance over you, they expect you to submit. And it's a grave insult to not do so. And that's how they think. A lot of people don't realize that. They think too much, like a human, in the fact of, oh, this is just a little thing. Everything's big to a lupus. Every little nuance means something to them, and they're going to take it big, and they don't tend to forget what you've done. You've done something to piss off a lupus, they're going to remember that for a long time to come. And they're all about that hierarchy. And when it translates to other stuff, they don't understand how a lot of these things go. They don't understand voting. So if somebody actually says, oh, well, we voted in the, who's going to be the alpha rune. To a lupus, that's anathema. That's foreign. That's ludicrous. It doesn't work that way. It's unnatural. Because the strong, they're the ones who are at the top. And to them, this, I'm in power because everybody else said I am, it's a show of a weakness that falls upon the entire group that's doing it. They're going to have more respect for that one rune that's going to actually go and start challenging people, even if they're losing, than the ones who sit there and go, yeah, we're going to kowtow to that guy over there because we voted on it. We all decided he's the most powerful. Did you show throat? If you showed throat, he showed he's powerful. Most people, if they voted them in, if I looked at them and said, did you show throat? They're going to say, no. He didn't beat me. Well, if he didn't beat you, he doesn't have dominance. If he doesn't have dominance, he ain't worth a damn to, at least to a lupus. He's below him. And you've got to look at a lupus mentality of, well, if I saw this person beat, then that, I know who's got dominance over them. So if that person comes to me, I know that, okay, that person's out of the way. So I know roughly where they're at in the hierarchy. When you get a lupus, a Red Talon lupus specifically, at a primarily Hamid sept, they have a lot of issues because they don't always understand the hierarchy. They might realize that, okay, yeah, the Silver Fang's in charge. Okay, that's the alpha, that's the top dog. Then they're going to look at the beta. Who's the beta? Well, if somebody's shamed, they're not going to see them as such. They're going to look at the next highest rank, and so on. Now, here's the problem, though. If, take for example, there's a Goliath Red Talon, and that Red Talon, for whatever reason, ends up in a challenge with a Foster and beats him, then that Red Talon is going to view that Foster as below him, and everybody who's below him is below him as well, unless they've beaten him specifically in some kind of challenge. So if somebody wants to challenge that lupus, the first thing lupus is going to look at is, okay, the Foster I beat, do you have dominance over them? You don't? He's not going to see it as such. He's going to look at you and be like, bad challenge, and probably walk away, because he doesn't view you as in the right. Sometimes he'll accept the challenge, especially a very quarrelsome type. But you have to clear the path to get to it, and the lupus should they should enforce that. If you're viewed as weak because you haven't beat anybody, the lupus isn't going to waste its time by challenging you. It might just punish you, but that's how it goes down. I mean, okay, there's a situation that happens in my game. The Red Talon in the game had dominance over an Adrin. A Goliath Red Talon has dominance over an Adrin. That Adrin's gone right now. However, that Adrin is, spoken with a lot of reverence and respect. Weirdly, considering I don't know if they deserved it, but as such, the Red Talon has an inflated opinion of his position, and he acknowledges that the Adrin Silverfang's in charge. He acknowledges that the Silent Strider Foster that beat him in challenge is above him. After that, he doesn't acknowledge a whole lot because he's beaten other people who have dominance over the rest, and therefore he views himself as number 3. For somebody to come at him as number 3, they're going to have to take out number 4, whoever that may be. And that is a typical lupus mentality. A lot of times lupus don't always differentiate things the way everybody else does. It's hard for a Red Talon to respect a Fianna because they follow stag. Animals with hooves tend to be prey. They don't view them as strong. Griffin eats everything, and you got to understand that. Griffin, and most of the spirits that are under Griffin, a lot of them are mythological in nature. Therefore, to a Red Talon, a lot of weirdness is going to seem perfectly natural to them. Where people go, oh my God, what is that spirit? A chimera? If a chimera is fucking with people, a Red Talon's probably going to be looking at it going, Okay, let's kill it. Let's fix it. Whatever the case may be. So, if you're going to play a Red Talon, you have to be able to get into this alien mentality, which means you got to be able to think, act, and be a wolf while you're playing it. You have to realize the politics. Red Talons respect strength. When the Silverfangs are strong, the Red Talons are staunch supporters. When they're weak, they're going to be the staunch supporters of those who are strong. If the Red Talon is the one who's strong, they're going to be challenging that leader because they're going to view them as somebody who should not be dominant to them. And people have to accept this. This is part of the heritage of the Guru. People who think that it's unfair or think that it's ludicrous or whatnot, they're ragabash bait. You have to respect the ways of the wolf, and if you don't treat it as such, good ragabash are going to nuke you every time. When you understand the Red Talons and the wolves, you can play on a level playing field. When you don't, you're at a big disadvantage. That's the Red Talon advantage if you can play it. Personally, I don't think anybody but an experienced player should play a Red Talon. It's too hard to get into that wolf mentality. I mean, I had somebody one time play a Wendigo Lupus, and within a month or two, they were talking like they had a PhD. They seemed to understand things. First time they saw a car, they looked at it, growled at it, and then jumped in. They acted like one of the rare wolves that actually start to obsess about the city because they like the difference and everything about it. That rarely happens with Red Talons. A Red Talon that becomes obsessed with the city and where they think it's a good thing tends to die at the claws and the fangs of their tribe mates. And just remember, 9 times out of 10, challenges are going to take one of two fashions when it comes to Red Talons. It's going to be a stare down. That happens a lot. A Red Talon in a pack. If a Red Talon if it is in a pack and doesn't engage in at least 2 stare downs a session, they're probably doing something wrong. Whether it's to re-exert their dominance over those beneath them, just to prove it, they'll do that, or to challenge the next person on the list. I'm number 4. Who's number 3? I do a stare down. If they win, I'm still number 4. If I win, I view myself now as number 3, so I'm going to push them aside, and now I'm aiming at number 2. The other challenge is going to be physical in nature. It's going to be a fight. Excuse me. And there's going to be blood spilled. In that regard, because the Red Talons are all they don't pull punches. It's tooth and claw. It is going to be tooth and claw. You get a Red Talon that's doing something else, they're acting against their nature. So I don't expect to see a lot of players play Red Talons, and I prefer to see only the better players play them. But that gives you a quick rundown of just some little tips and tricks. I'm not going to get too in depth with them because not many players are going to be playing them, and those who do, if they're playing them badly, we're gonna just run them out because there is nothing more damaging to the Lupus genre than a bad Red Talon player. And unfortunately, a lot of players have an inflated opinion of their abilities. Let the storytellers judge if you're ready to play a Red Talon, because they know their chronicle, they know the people, they should know you at this stage, because you should be an advanced player, somebody who's been in their troop for a while, and they'll know whether or not you can handle it. Okay, that's it. That's my Red Talon spiel. So, I'll let you go, and my next step is going to be Grandfather Thunder.